they are, I think in most cases with most team members, when the business owner comes up with a new idea, the answer is yes, boss. I mean, and then quietly they're like, well, what of the other 10 things are on my plate do you want me to pause and put it on the shelf while this other new idea came in? But the role of the COO, they're going to have some healthy conflict. There's going to be some pushback. We're not the no machine. We are the yes and. Yes and. And sometimes what we'll do after there's a really good element of trust between the CEO and the COO is we'll say to the COO, that's a great idea, and I want you to sell it to me. What does it look like in the finished state? They get excited just about the idea. They don't get excited about the path of how it's going to get there. They can see what it looks like in the end state, but we need the CEO to sell themselves on the idea before they try to sell it to the organization. And like you said, 10 ideas a day, maybe only one sticks. The other 9 just get vetted, be like, oh, it's a really good idea, but now that I think about it, it's probably not going to work. Right? And we don't want to kill the enthusiasm of the idea creation, but we want to support the vetting of the idea so that it can actually get executed to completion. So that's what that COO does, is that kind of healthy conflict partner, if you will.
Yeah, I love it. And I think a better way to say it maybe, or a simpler way to say, we want to make sure that the best ideas rise to the top.
Yeah.
So that our focus goes into our best opportunities to create revenue, to create growth.
Yep.
And I think that's something that a lot of us as business owners miss, is that we treat everything kind of the same instead of going, no, what is the absolute best thing we can do right now?
Yeah.
Or, over the next year, or over the next 3 years, or over the next 5 years. And I think when you start looking at your business that way and treating your business like you have a scarcity of resources, that you need to, not spend everything very loosely, but also kind of like go, okay, what's the best thing, the absolute best thing we can put our time into? And then not just you making that decision, but having good people around you think through that, make that decision too. So Derek, here's the last question for the day. And then we need to make sure everybody knows how to find you as a fractional COO. But what are the 2 best business books that you've read that you'd like to recommend to the group?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this in the back of my mind, and the first one is not a business book, but it impacted my progression and how I've evolved in the business and kind of the professional path. And I read the book, I think back in 2009, 2010, and it was called 1 Year Abroad. And the reason why I share that is because, as you know, Tony, I live here in France, in Paris. I'm originally from the States, in Connecticut. We've been living here for 10 years. And I read that book because I was in a mastermind and I met somebody who just did a 1 year around experience with his 2 children. And to me, that sounded extraordinarily cool. I said, that's on my bucket list. I would love to do that. And he gave me a resource of this book called 1 Year Abroad. And it really started to plant the seed of this idea that my wife and I had to spend 1 year in France. Now, it's been 10 years. We never came back to the U.S., and we're very happy here. We do miss the U.S. in some cases. But that was a real kind of pivotal moment of then shifting.